the unfunded pension liability, what do you believe the cause of?
Money is the solution to many, many problems. As I said earlier, I've seen a business with the right mindset double, triple in size. You bring that kind of money and you start to pay off that unfunded pension liability like a mortgage. So I would have a tendency to just look at the books and say, you know what, this is a priority that we need to pay. It's like I said, it's like a mortgage. When you have a mortgage, that's not the time that you go on vacation. So I would like the idea of like a 15-year plan, 30-year plan, and pay $1 million, $2 million a year toward it. Put on the fiscal conservative hat. Where can we pull money from? What is a need? What is a want? And also, like I said, if we bring in businesses, you know, fill in these vacancies, we have more retail, more sales tax revenue. 50% of our revenue comes from sales tax. I'm also a person that's very much against any blight. I know what it does to real estate values. You eradicate the blight, there's ordinances already in existence that address everything of blight I've ever mentioned, and our real estate values go up. We increase our revenue, and that's what you do as a family, that's what you do as a business, and you start paying down those credit cards, you start paying down the mortgage, and you do it by increasing your income. Thank you.
It was very encouraging that in the last quarter that sales tax went up, right? And we're working our way out of economic times that we've been in, and it's not as quickly as we'd like to see. I think it's important to keep in mind that the $31 million number, we need to make sure that doesn't grow, right? As long as we're keeping it at that level, working it down, the plan has been to pay $500,000 a year towards it, and we've done that in the last couple of years. I commend Dave Whittigan, the finance department with Ms. Bullock, and that they have a plan. They're working on it. You know, that Governor Brown is working on getting rid of the spiking and some of the problems with it, slowly fixing that situation. It's not something that's going to happen right away, but I think we're getting there, and I think we're lucky to be in a place that is as well run as La Mesa is, and I think we need to continue on the same track.
We do have a plan in this city, and we are paying that debt down, so start there. That's a good idea. Why not take the reserves and just dump them in there and really buy that down? Here's the reason. Public employee pension funds are giant 401ks. The only difference between individual and that one is the risk is at the group level instead of the individual level. You could dump your $10 million in there and lose it. So what we're doing is prudent in paying it down, and we need to keep that in mind. All right, that said, we do need to stop the hemorrhaging. We need to make sure that in the future we have sustainable pensions. That if we look at the factors that go into setting up pension, years of service, age at retirement, percent of final compensation, spiking stopgaps, percent employee contribution, those all have to be adjusted per working group. You can't expect a firefighter to serve as long as a file clerk. So years of service is not going to be the same thing. But there are other things you can adjust there. The goal is long-term sustainability of the pensions that we offer, and moving those variables around for our 3 employee groups so that it fits, in fact, the kind of service that they're offering the city of La Mesa, and at the same time create something that isn't going to be a burden on our children and our grandchildren. Thanks.
Our $31 million unfunded liability took a real hit in 2007 when we had the stock market and the economy meltdown. We haven't been adding to it because we haven't been increasing any wages in this city. When you increase wages, you increase the unfunded liability. We have not been doing that. But we have been paying annually what CalPERS requests of us. So each year CalPERS is paid, they request X amount. The CalPERS unfunded liability is closely associated with the stock market. When the stock market is up, then we don't have the problem that we have when the stock market is down. Because CalPERS says we're going to have we need 7.5% this year. Well, if they don't get 7.5% because the stock market has fallen down and all the investments are down, they only get, say, let's say 5%, then you've got 2.5% that they're going to try to make up with all of the cities. You've got 9 cities in the same position that La Mesa is in. We are one of the lowest. They'd like us to be around paid up to 80%, but we're paid up to 60.6%. That's good. And we're doing everything we can. We're now in the second tier with our employees, any new hires. That doesn't show a lot right now, but eventually it will.
Thank you. Could you repeat the question again?
Yes.
If elected, how would you resolve the unfunded pension, and do you know what caused the gap to occur?
I've said this before, how would I resolve the unfunded pension? As has been pointed out, there are various factors that affect the liability. The age of retirement, the groups of employees, it's actuaries who set these, who we interact with. The stock market affects it. My theory is to sit down with the stakeholders so you aren't increasing liability and look to the various factors that are part of the pension debt. And like I said, I'm naming them all off, and in 1 minute I cannot provide you an answer. I am not an accountant, I'm not a CPA, I'm not going to pretend to be that and paint this glorious picture of how I'm personally going to solve the city's unfunded pension liability. But I do think we need to sit down, the stakeholders in it need to sit down and look at it sooner rather than later. How we got there is a virtue of the economy, the national economy in part. And also the theories on pensions at one point in time when some of these were set were different than they are. It's a different theory. You're seeing more and more, the NFL referees, for heaven's sakes, more and more going from the regular pension plan to a 401k. There's just a whole different theory on pensions that has been adopted in the last 5-10 years. And that's something to look at as well. But again, it's not something that we should hide or refuse to acknowledge like it's the elephant in the closet, but there is not an easy answer to this. The city is doing a great job by paying it down. I do not think you should be taking on the general fund or the reserves to do it. It is like a mortgage that gets paid down, and the amount that we're giving, as CalPERS has requested of us, is the amount of our mortgage payment right now. And we aren't in the place to make double mortgage payments. Maybe someday we will be, but not today.